In Python, how do you flatten a list of lists? So what I mean by that is, how do you get all of these values that are inside of each of these three lists into a single list, and then they're all just in one list? It's no longer a list of lists, it's just a flattened list with all these values being in that list. So I'll show you how to do that in this video. So first you start out with your lists of lists. So I have a list of length 3 that contain 3 sub lists. The first one is 1, 2, and 3, then it's 4, 5, then 6, 7, 8, and 9. So the first thing I do down here is I define just an empty list called flat list, and then for sub list in list of lists, so for each of these sub lists inside of my greater list of lists, I'm going to loop through again for val in sub list. So I'm going to loop through this list first right here and get, and sub list is going to point to this first list, and then this list, and then this last third list. And then for each of those lists, I'm going to loop through all of the values in that list. So for val, so 1 in sub list, and then it'll be 2 and 3, and then it'll go to the next list and get 4 and 5, and then so on. So for each of the vals in the sub lists, I'm going to append those to my list that I defined up here, and then I will print that off at the very end, and that will give me my flat list. And I'll show you what that looks like when I print it out. So I'm going to run the file, and here we go. I get my flat list: 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, and 9. So all of that is nice and flattened out. And then I'll show you also how to do this in a single line. You don't actually have to have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5 lines to write this code out, or 4 if you ignore the print statement. I'm going to show you how to do it in one. So this code is basically identical to what we have up here, but it's just in one line. It's val for sublist in list of lists for val in sublist. And then that'll give us the same thing, because it's the same logic, but it's just condensed into a single line. All right. So I think that'll be it for this one. Although, if there are some of you who want to see how to do this with a list of lists that's variable in size and depth, there is a way to do that that is recursive. So let me know in the comments if you'd like to see me detail out how to do this. If your lists of lists might be, a list of lists of lists of lists of lists, and you aren't sure what the size is, but you need to write code that can flatten it out no matter how deep that list of lists goes, let me know in the comments, and I can make one more vid about that recursive logic. So with that being said, thank you, and I hope that this was helpful.